of urgency, and she went inside to collect her purse and shopping basket. Her front door opened straight onto the pavement, and she walked out into the narrow, leafy lane and headed for the high street, taking the most direct route to make sure of reaching the butcher's before he lowered his blinds for the weekend. She obviously wasn't the only one to be waylaid by a fine afternoon. The last-minute queue for meat stretched out of the shop and round the corner, and she took her place in it, nodding to one or two of the customers. Whenever she found herself in a crowd these days, she was increasingly struck by the emptiness in people's faces, by a flat, going-through-the-motions air that she'd never been conscious of before, not even in the depths of war. It was as if this fragile peace, no matter how longed for, lacked the exhilaration of wartime, the shared sense of purpose that had helped people forget their fear and their grief. The danger had passed, but gone too was the laughing in the street, the instinctive kindness from one neighbour to another, and it was these small commonplace things that mattered to most people. Now everyone looked so tired and worn down that she wondered if the world would ever recover. Inside, the shop smelled faintly of blood and sawdust. 2 ounces of ham, please, she said, requesting the full ration when her turn came. The butcher nodded, and she watched as he cut thick slices from the bone and weighed them. "What else can I get you?" "Nothing, thank you." He looked at her in surprise. "That's all you want? I've got some of that stewing beef you like, fresh in yesterday. It'll save you queuing again if you take it now." She looked at the meat and felt the nausea rise in her throat. "Just the ham," she snapped, feeling the eyes of the queue on her. "I really don't need anything else." He shrugged and took her money, raising his eyes at the woman next in line, and she left the shop without another word. Across the street, a dress in the window of Jones's caught her eye, and she went over to look at it, drawn to the startling shade of green. Its tight-fitting waist and extravagantly flared skirt were so unlike anything she owned that on a whim she pushed the door open and went inside, conscious of her conservative shoes and the dull, shabby skirt that had seen too many summers. The counter was piled high with the new season's accessories, a flashback to the time before all the beautiful feminine things disappeared, and a young girl wearing too much rouge came over to greet her. "The dress in the window," she began, but was interrupted before she could finish her sentence. "Yes, madam. It's only just come in, and I think you'll find the fabric is—" "I'll take it." "You don't want to try it on?" The girl looked doubtful, and she wondered how many more people that day would question the fact that she knew her own mind. Strange, because she'd never felt more deliberate or more certain. "There's no need," she insisted. "I know it will fit." With a shrug, the assistant went over to the window to set about undressing the mannequin, and 5 minutes later the dress was hers. Rather than retracing her steps, she decided to walk back via the castle. The steep climb through the castle gate and into the precincts beyond made her feel every year of her age, and she paused at the top to catch her breath. Beyond the outskirts of Lewes, the soft green downs spread out before her under a Wedgwood sky. It was a view she'd always loved, a reminder of both the happiest and saddest times of her life. But today it was too much. She turned her back on it and headed for home. She shook out the dress and hung it on her wardrobe door, then went back downstairs to the kitchen. Percy answered her call immediately, apparently oblivious to the strain in her voice, and she chopped the ham into a dish while he rubbed round her legs, making the small familiar noises of appreciation that still seemed so out of place in a cat his size. The meat was as salty as brine and less tasty than it looked, and she felt a sudden surge of anger with herself for buying the wrong thing on this of all days. She picked him up and held him, and his ears flicked with irritation as he felt her tears on his fur. "I'm sorry,"